So how often do you make a decision, a big one, or even just a small purchase, thinking you're in complete control, that you're using cold, hard logic?
All the time. We all think that.
And then later you realize your mind was just running on these weird, hardwired shortcuts.
It happens constantly. We like to think we're rational, but the truth is our default setting is what the Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman calls System 1. It's fast, it's intuitive, and it is very, very prone to error.
And welcome back to the deep dive. Today, that's exactly what we're getting into, the hidden wiring of our own minds. We're looking at 10 cognitive errors and biases that are, well, just everywhere.
Yeah, and a lot of our source material today is really inspired by Kahneman's work, especially thinking fast and slow.
Now, the goal here isn't to get rid of these biases.
Right, you can't. That would be like trying to, I don't know, remove a part of your brain. It's impossible.
So the mission is awareness. It's about spotting the triggers for these mind traps.
Exactly. It's knowing when that fast, intuitive thinking is taking over, so you have a chance to hit the brakes and maybe switch to some slower, more deliberate thinking.
Okay, let's unpack this. And a good place to start is right where our ego tries to protect itself, the way we rationalize disappointment.
That takes us straight to cognitive dissonance, and it's a powerful feeling, almost a physical one. It's that mental stress you feel when you hold two conflicting beliefs in your head at the same time.
The classic example is Aesop's fable, right? The
Yeah.
fox and the sour grapes.
The fox tries to get these grapes, and he just can't reach them. He fails, so he has a few choices.
He could keep trying, or he could admit, I failed. I wasn't good enough.
Or, and this is what he does, he can just reinterpret the whole situation. He walks away and says, you know what, those grapes were probably sour anyway. I never really wanted them.
And just like that, the conflict is gone. The belief, I am a clever fox, no longer clashes with the outcome I failed.
We do this all the time.
Oh, constantly. You don't get a job you really wanted, and your brain just jumps in to protect you.
Right, you create a new story. The company culture was probably toxic, or that boss seemed difficult. It softens the blow.
And the sources are really clear on the danger here. As Rolf Dobelli puts it, you can play the clever fox all you want.
But you'll never get the grapes that way. That rationalization, it might protect your ego in the short term, but it completely blocks you from learning from your failure.
A really powerful point. And speaking of our self-perception, let's talk about a bias that makes us think we're way more important than we actually are.
Ah, yes. The spotlight effect.
This one is just pure social anxiety. It's our tendency to, massively overestimate how much other people are noticing us or judging us.
You show up 5 minutes late for a meeting and you feel like every single eye is on you, judging your tardiness.
Or you spill a little sauce on your shirt at a party and you're convinced you're the main topic of conversation for the rest of the night.
When in reality, most people are so wrapped up in their own heads, they barely notice. They're probably worried that you're judging them.
So just knowing this exists can be a huge relief.
Yeah.
The odds are nobody saw it, and if they did, they forgot about it 30 seconds later.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift from our internal feelings to how easily external things can hijack our judgment.
This brings us to the anchoring effect, and this one is just startling.
It really is. The anchoring effect is our tendency to rely way too heavily on the first piece of information we get, the anchor, when we're making a decision, even if that anchor is totally random.
So if I ask you to guess the height of the tallest redwood tree, and I say, is it more or less than 1,200 feet? That number, 1,200, becomes your anchor.
Exactly. Your final guess will be much closer to 1,200 than if I had started with, say, 200 feet. But where it gets really strange is when the anchor is obviously completely arbitrary.
And this is that experiment with the German judges. I mean, this is just stunning.
It is. These were experienced judges, 15 years on the bench on average. They're reviewing a shoplifting case.
And before they decide on a sentence, they're asked to roll a pair of loaded dice.
Loaded, so they only land on a 3 or a 9.
And the result.
It's incredible. The judges who rolled a 9 gave an average sentence of 8 months. The ones who rolled a 3 gave an average sentence of just 5 months.
Wait a second. A 60% difference in a prison sentence based on a random roll of the dice. How is that possible?
Because that first number, even though it's random, it sets the whole zone of consideration. A judge who rolls a 9 starts thinking around 9 months and adjusts from there. A judge who rolls a 3 starts thinking around 3 months. The anchor sets an irrational baseline for a supposedly rational decision.
And that explains why it's used so often in negotiations.
Oh, absolutely. The car salesman gives you that ridiculously high sticker price first. That's the anchor. They know you won't pay it.
Right, but it makes the price they actually want you to pay seem like a fantastic deal in comparison.
The only way to fight it is to go in with your own anchor already set. You have to know what the item is worth to you before they have a chance to set their anchor for you.
And building right on that is something called the contrast effect.
Yeah, they're very similar. This is where our perception of something is totally influenced by what it's sitting next to.
Like a $3,000 leather seat upgrade for your car.
Right. If you're buying an $80,000 car, 3 grand seems like nothing, a rounding error. But if you're buying a $25,000 car, that same 3 grand feels like a massive expense. The price is identical, but the context changes its value.
The sources had a great example about time versus money. People will walk 10 minutes to save $10 on a $15 lunch.
But almost no one would walk 10 minutes to save that same $10 on a $1,000 suit.
$10 is the same, but next to $1,000, it just feels worthless.
And you see this on restaurant menus all the time. They'll put a wildly expensive $60 dish right at the top. They don't sell many.
But it makes the $35 steak look cheap.
Exactly. It's an anchor. It makes everything else look reasonable.
So the takeaway for you is to just ask yourself when you're shopping, is this a good value on its own, or does it just look good next to something else?
Okay, let's move on to how the sequence of information completely dictates our perception.
This brings us to the halo effect. This is where one single initial positive or negative thing about a person, or anything really, it outshines everything else.
Our brain is a storyteller. It wants to create a coherent narrative fast. And the first piece of data it gets often becomes the theme of the whole story.
The example in the research is perfect. You're given a description of two people, Alan and Ben. They have the exact same traits, just in a different order.
So Alan is intelligent, industrious, impulsive, critical, stubborn, and envious.
And Ben is
Mhm.
envious, stubborn, critical, impulsive, industrious, and intelligent.
And we almost universally like Alan more.
Why? They're the same.
Because intelligent came first for Alan. That creates a positive halo. So we think, oh, he's stubborn because he's smart and knows what's right. With Ben, envious comes first, so his intelligence seems sinister. Like he uses it for bad reasons.
So first impressions last is actually, psychologically real.
Very real. And it has some pretty high-stakes consequences. For example, we automatically see attractive people as being smarter, nicer, and more honest, with zero evidence. Their appearance creates a halo.
Kahneman points out how this corrupts meetings at work, too. If the boss speaks first, their opinion gets way too much weight and anchors the whole discussion.
Yeah, his advice is to have everyone write down their own independent thoughts before anyone speaks. That way you avoid the halo of the first speaker.
The ultimate example of this has to be Bernie Madoff.
Oh, absolutely. His halo was his reputation. He was a legendary investor, always had consistent returns. That reputation was so powerful that it completely outshone all the warning signs.
The numbers didn't make sense, but people thought, well, it's Bernie Madoff. He must know what he's doing. The halo made them ignore the facts.
It's a chilling example. Okay, let's shift gears into the world of probability and our very flawed understanding of it.
Let's start with the gambler's fallacy.
This is the belief in some kind of cosmic balancing force. The idea that if something happens a bunch of times in a row, the universe will try to even it out.
The classic coin toss. It lands on heads 3 times in a row. What do you bet on next?
Almost everyone says tails. They think, well, it's due for a tails. But the coin doesn't have a memory. The odds are still, and always will be, 50-50.
And what's interesting is there's a mirror image to this, isn't there? The hot hand fallacy.
Right. That's the equally wrong belief that a streak must continue. If a basketball player makes 3 shots, we think they have a hot hand and are more likely to make the next one.
We see a pattern of skill where it might just be random chance.
And this isn't just in casinos or sports. One study found that asylum judges were almost 20% less likely to approve a case if they had just approved the last 2.
Wow. They were subconsciously trying to balance the books.
Even though each case is completely independent, it's a powerful hidden force in professional judgment.
And our brain's desire to find patterns also explains the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Yeah, everyone has experienced this. You learn a new word or you notice a specific model of car for the first time.
And then suddenly you see it everywhere. You think, I swear, this car just got incredibly popular overnight.
But it didn't. It's an illusion. Your brain is now just primed to notice it. You saw it plenty of times before, but you just filtered it out as unimportant. Now that it's on your radar, you connect the dots and create a false pattern.
And this whole process is supercharged by what might be the most dangerous bias of them all.
I think so. Confirmation bias.
This is the big one. It's our brain's tendency to seek out, to favor, and to remember information that confirms what we already believe.
And at the same time, we actively filter out, ignore, or conveniently forget any evidence that contradicts our beliefs.
Why do we do that?
Because it's hard work to change your mind. It takes a lot of mental energy.
Yeah.
It's so much easier and more comfortable for the brain to just keep reinforcing what it already thinks it knows.
And this is the real crisis of our modern online world.
It's been put on steroids. The
Yeah.
algorithms feed us content they know we'll agree with, creating these deep echo chambers where our own beliefs are just reflected back at us over and over. Dissenting opinions just disappear.
And it creates what some people call the "I'm always correct" ego. It makes real debate almost impossible because two people can look at the exact same set of facts and see completely different things.
And Kahneman has a really chilling warning here. He said that a reliable way to make people believe falsehoods is just frequent repetition.
Because familiarity is not easily distinguished from truth.
Exactly. If you hear something enough times, it starts to feel true, regardless of the evidence.
So how do we fight it?
You have to actively choose to think gray. You have to deliberately seek out credible sources you know you'll disagree with. Not to argue, but to genuinely try to understand their point of view.
You have to be the devil's advocate for your own strongest beliefs.
That's the only way.
Mm.
Okay, moving toward our final section, let's talk about efficiency and decision-making, starting with the paradox of choice.
This one seems counterintuitive. We think more choice is always better.
Right, variety is attractive at first, but the research is clear. Too many choices leads to decision fatigue and even paralysis.
This is the famous jam experiment, right?
Yeah, in a supermarket, they set up a tasting booth. One day they offered 24 types of jam, the next day, just 6.
More people stopped at the big display with 24 jams.
Way more. But, and this is the key, they sold 10 times more jam when there were only 6 choices.
Why?
Because with 24 choices, people were overwhelmed, they were afraid of making the wrong choice, so they just walked away. Too much choice actually increases the chances you'll regret your decision later.
You see this in modern dating apps. The endless scroll of options can make it feel almost impossible to commit to one person because you're always wondering if a better option is just one more swipe away.
Exactly. Okay, so for our last one, let's end on a really practical tip you can use to reduce daily stress. It's about overcoming the Zeigarnik effect.
What's that?
It's the simple observation that we are really good at remembering incomplete tasks, but we easily forget tasks we've finished. Those open loops, those unfinished projects, they just gnaw away at you.
Oh, that's so true. They just circle in your head.
But the fix is surprisingly simple. Research shows you don't even have to finish the task to stop the effect.
What do you do?
You just have to write down a clear, concrete plan for how and when you will finish it. The act of getting the plan out of your head and onto paper signals to your brain that it's handled and that nagging, stressful thought cycle just stops.
That's a great tip. Wow, we've covered so much ground today. From, simple things like the spotlight effect to these huge systemic issues like confirmation bias.
And when you look at all of them together, you realize they're all just mental shortcuts. Your brain is trying to tell a complete story with limited information so it can function quickly.
But the stories are often wrong.
They're often inaccurate or incomplete or just plain distorted. And the goal isn't to be perfect, but just to catch yourself, to notice when these shortcuts are taking over.
We talked about the two sides of probability error. The gambler's fallacy, where you expect things to balance out.
And the hot hand fallacy, where you expect a streak to continue forever.
So here's a final thought for you to take away until our next deep dive. If you're an investor or in any profession, and you find yourself doubling down on a strategy just because it worked the last 3 times, ask yourself, are you really seeing skill? Or are you just falling for the comfortable illusion that a random streak of good luck is a sign of inevitable future success? Something to mull over.